Good day, viewers. Welcome back. This is David Oliverio, the Preaching Humanist. That is I. Are you a person that looks at this jar right here of water? Do you see a jar of water that is half full or half empty? I look at it, and I see a jar that is half full, and I'd like to see it just overflowing and goodness for all, right? Also, about, 35, 40 years ago, way back in the day, one of my father's elders or deacons in the church took me aside as I was a young evangelist on staff, probably 19, 20 years old. And he wanted to give me a little lesson. He gave me a sheet of paper like this, and he had these 3 dots on the piece of paper. And he said, "David, what do you see on this sheet of paper?" I said, "Well, sir, I see 3 dark marks on this sheet of paper." And he went on to explain to me what an optimist is. An optimist is someone who looks at that sheet of paper and sees just a white sheet of paper, and we can slowly eliminate or eradicate these dots. So sure, I'm an optimistic humanist. So I want to talk about that today, even though we see some negativity going on, especially in the government, different things going on. If we really use and extrapolate these things and look at data and evidence, we can see that things actually are slowly improving in the world and for all people. We still have problems. Now, I want to talk about the Enlightenment, the values of the Enlightenment. We know that religion, especially Christianity and Islam, brought the human race into the problems of the Middle Ages, the Dark Ages. And what brought us out? It surely wasn't Jesus or Muhammad or Allah, was it? It was the human enlightened mind. So I think we need to really focus on the Enlightenment. What is the Enlightenment? It's science, it's reason, it's technology, it's humanism, progressing ahead. It does work. There is a counter-enlightenment going on today in our government. Several people in this country are countering the human enlightened mind, otherwise known as authoritarian populism. I think most of us understand that concept. That's anti-reason, anti-science. Christianity tends to move in that direction as well. I would like to call this a revived enlightenment to improve things in the world as we see them happening. I'm a very proud, I like to say this statement, a very proud cosmopolitan secular humanist / atheist, and I'm an optimist. I want to do that. Now, the past few years, I have suffered with a little bit of negativity, seeing things happening and so forth, but I think if we look as optimistic people, and we really have trust in the enlightenment of science and reason and so forth, we can continue to make things better. So when I talk to believers, they have a different outlook. A Christian would look at the Bible as truth. And we look at the scriptures in the Bible, and the scriptures in the Bible actually tell a different story, right? 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 1, I love this scripture because Christian preachers use it all the time. In the last days, hard, perilous times will come. In other words, they're asserting that in the last days before the return of Jesus, things are just getting worse. They're getting bad. I hear it from Christians all the time. They say, oh no, things are not improving in the world. There's more crime, there's more poverty, more homelessness. Actually, when you extrapolate this and look at stats, you will see that we have small incremental changes in our society. It's kind of like 2 steps forward, and then we have a pushback, maybe 1.9 steps backward. 3 steps forward, 2.9 steps backward. It's small incremental changes, always for the good, but we have a pushback from the authoritarian populist movement and the Christian right. So the Bible does give a different story. I was talking to a woman this morning, again, as I go out with my big mouth, looking for opportunities. And she said, yes, things are getting worse, and she's looking for the return of Jesus to help her to escape this horrible, evil world. Well, I showed her the actual facts that things are not as bad as they appear. It's actually getting better. So let me read for you the belief system that Christians get. I get it right from the Bible. So in Luke chapter 21, this one's so interesting. Christian preachers use it all the time. And this is a scripture where Jesus allegedly told his disciples that he would be coming back soon. Hey, it's 2,000 years later, we're still waiting. Hadn't returned yet, has he? So Jesus said these certain things are going to happen on earth before his return. So verse 9, Jesus allegedly said, when you hear of wars and disturbances, King James says wars and rumors of wars, Do not be terrified, for these things must take place first, but the end does not follow immediately. So there's certain things that have to occur first in the Christian worldview before Jesus takes them up to heaven. That's their belief system. Verse 10, nation will rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom. Actual facts and data shows that we're a more peaceful society now than we were hundreds of years ago. Even from the great two world wars we had, World War I and World War II, we haven't seen kingdom against kingdom, nation against nation, anything like we did hundreds of years ago, even just a few years ago. It is getting better. There will be great earthquakes. I heard a Christian tell me the other day about earthquakes in various places. I explained to her we've always had earthquakes, nothing new under the sun. This is a lie. Various places, plagues and famines would occur in these horrible last days before Jesus came back. Well, actually, evidence shows that there are less plagues and less famine because of the enlightenment of science and humanism and technology. We're slowly eliminating famine and plagues from planet Earth. And there will be terrors and great signs from heaven. Believe it or not, a Christian the other week told me that she sees things. I asked her, what do you see? She goes, well, I see things move in the sky. Just like Jesus said, in the last days, we'll see things in the sky. I asked her what she saw. What do you see? She tells me she sees angels and demons flying around. I wanted to ask her if she needed some psychological help, but I didn't want to offend her. So yes, these are the words of Jesus. Verse 12, they will bring you, but before all these things, Jesus said, they will lay their hands on you and will persecute you. And here we go again with this false thing of Christian persecution. We're not going to lay our hands on you. We're not going to persecute you. In fact, last week in San Antonio, there was a Baptist female preacher. That's rare. And she was up on the step preaching away. And I went over to her to introduce myself so I could have some friendly dialogue with her on video and interview her, right? And I reached out to try to touch her hand, and I touched her arm. And she backed away and she said, do not touch me, you heretic. She didn't like me touching her arm. I was just trying to shake her hand. So in her worldview, she was being persecuted by this atheist activist who just wanted to have a little fun with her and talk to her and get it on video. Yeah. So here Jesus said, they're going to lay hands on you, persecute you. That's not happening. They're going to deliver you to the synagogues and prisons. That ain't happening. And they're going to bring you before kings and governors for my name's sake, and so forth. Verse 16, all these hard things are going to happen in the last days before Jesus returns. This is what Christianity says. You will be betrayed even by your parents and brothers and relatives and friends, and they will put some of you to death. The fact is, it doesn't occur very often. In fact, what normally happens is the Christians will betray the atheists of the family. It happened to me, and it happens to other people. So this is another lie. You will be hated by all because of my name. We don't hate Christians. I don't hate Christians. I hate the belief system. I actually care about people. So this is a lie. And then let's look at verse 25. Jesus said, talking about his return, there will be signs in the sun and moon and so forth. Now, here's the key scripture, verse 28. We're talking about how things are actually getting better. As humanists and atheists, how we want to revitalize the enlightenment of science, reason, the human enlightened mind, and technology, making things better in the world. Now, a Christian's worldview is things are getting worse, and we must escape this world. It's called escapism. Here's where they get this idea, verse 28. But when you see these things, when these things begin to take place, straighten up, lift up your heads, because your redemption draweth nigh. Haven't we heard that for years now? Christian preachers, I used to say it too. Things are getting hard. Things are getting arduous. Perilous times are happening. It's such a wicked, horrible world. Crime is on the increase. Murder rates are going up. That's all a lie. They're actually going down. That's a fact. So Jesus told his believers, and many believers still adhere to this, that things get hard in the last days. It's called escapism. Keep your eye in the eastern sky, for Jesus shall take you away and fly up to heaven and escape these hard things. Folks, this is not reality. Reality is we roll up our sleeves, we renew this beautiful thing called the enlightenment of science, human reason, education, knowledge, and technology, driven by humanism to make this world better. So no, I don't fall for this, and I will remain an optimist. I believe that we can make the world better, even though we have pushbacks against the counter-enlightenment from the populists, from the authoritarianism, from people on the Christian right that want to drag us back into the Dark Ages. Let's not let them do that. Let's stand up for the human enlightened mind, science and reason, progressivism, and continue to fight against the counter-enlightenment, make this world better. So I, yes, am a positive, cosmopolitan, secular humanist / atheist. That's a big mouthful, but I'm all of them, and I want to remain hopeful in the human enlightened mind to make this world better. So thanks for watching The Preaching Humanist, and have a wonderful day.